Choose Viatude fungicide and unleash best-in-class sclerotinia protection in canola and premium protection against white mold in soybeans. Viatude contains a powerful premix of Onmira Active and prothioconazole. This unique combo delivers high-performance disease control, crop safety, mix compatibility, resistance management, and advanced mobility for excellent coverage and superior plant protection. Choose Viatude fungicide for stronger, more vigorous crops.
It's time for RealAg Radio on Rural Radio Channel 147 on Sirius XM. RealAg Radio and RealAgriculture.com is your home for insight and analysis of the issues that are impacting your farm business. Let's get real and get connected with RealAg Radio. Welcome to RealAg Radio here on Rural Radio 147, Sirius XM. Shaun Haney, your host here on this Thursday edition of the show. Thanks so much, everybody, for making RealAg Radio and Rural Radio 147 a big part of your work day. And, of course, it's Thursday, which means only one thing, and that's we're doing a Farmer Rapid Fire here today. We're going to find out how people are making out in their fields, on their ranches, in their barns, and see what is happening across the country. And, of course, it is brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada and Corteva Agrisciences. I want to talk to you about Viatude, the new fungicide for canola and soybeans. Get best-in-class protection from two of the strongest sclerotinia and white mold actives on the market. You can find out more by going to pioneer.com/Canada. Okay, today we've got a great list of growers across the country. We're going to hear from Luke Fisher. He's out in Nova Scotia. We've got Tyler Lester in Broomfield, Ontario. Jack Froese is in Winkler, Manitoba. And Bruce Holmquist is ranching in Kinistino, Saskatchewan. And we're going to hear the Pioneer agronomist today is actually going to be Paul Hermans, who is just outside of Ottawa. So great list of people and lots to chat about, lots of questions. We're getting some varying degrees of weather across the country. Western Canada is still somewhat kind of cool. We haven't seen the temperature really turn up yet. It is the exact opposite in places like Ontario, where it is warm, stifling hot, with humidity. Feels like around I think 45 degrees all week. It has been brutal. Some people say, I would love that heat, and some people say, I am not made for this. I'm more made for winter than this kind of heat out in a cornfield. It's pretty brutal. So if you have any feedback on today's show, we'd love to hear from you. You can send me an email, shaney@realagriculture.com. You can find Real Agriculture across all the different social media platforms. You're also more than welcome to call the Real Ag feedback line, 855-776-6147. And we start off this week's Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada. We're talking to Luke Fisher, who is in Brookfield, Nova Scotia. Hey, Luke, great to chat with you.
Hey, Shaun. Thanks for having me.
Okay, I was actually in Nova Scotia a couple weeks back. I was in Halifax, and I made it out to Peggy's Cove. Beautiful province.
Nice. Yeah, no, the weather is looking really great here. We're 33 degrees here today and 35, 36 tomorrow. So things are looking really great.
Yeah, well, give us a bit of a crop update there. It's looking pretty good across the board with all the different crops.
Yeah, man, corn is about eighth leaf. It's already knee high. And like I said, we've been getting 15, 20 mils on the weekend of rain and straight sun through the week. So the crops are doing really well. We had nice dry conditions during planting, and we got a little bit of moisture every night. So things are looking really good out here.
Yeah, you're feeling almost like you're kind of lucky, like you're feeling kind of blessed. Like, hey, this may be our year. Don't want to get ahead of ourselves, though. We got to be careful.
Well,
we got some runway to run yet.
Yeah, well, I think it's catch up from last year, because last year was just, man, we just kept our swim trunks on and tried to stay afloat. Man, it was a tough year last year. And at least crop prices were still fairly high last year, so we're trying to catch up this year and make up for it.
So what crops are you growing?
So on my family farm here, I'm the fifth generation. We do about 1,000 acres of our own cropland. We do it in thirds, so we do a third of soybeans, third of corn, and a third of winter wheat.
Okay.
So the rotation works really well. We do corn silage or grain corn, and then we do soybeans, and the winter wheat goes in after soybeans. We also do 1,000 acres of custom work, so we're fairly busy here.
What kind of custom work? Spraying and planting, or what are you doing?
Spraying, planting. I literally just got back from top dressing corn, so we also have a full-time job at the Truro Agromart, which
Oh,
is a fertilizer plant in Truro. So we put about 10 to 12 hours a day in there too. So.
yeah. What got you into doing custom work?
Well, where we're so busy at the Ag Mart, we do a lot of our farming at night. So I need the acres to justify the new technology, the LED lights on the equipment. It gets really tough to do that many acres with uh, not as new equipment. So I find if I do 1,000 acres on my own and 1,000 acres of custom work, I can justify having a lease tractor and a fertilizer spreader that works, no breakdown, and you can get the job done.
Yeah, a little bit more scalability to the equipment, and you can justify it more. You can increase in the size. Like there's a lot of it adds to the justification.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah,
it's helps a lot when the sprayer's not blowing up and at midnight. So.
yeah. So, is what are some of the challenges of farming around, you're doing something else during the day, right? So, how do you balance all that?
Like I said, we used to do a lot of we had about 200 beef cows about 15, 20 years ago, and that's really tough to get away from the farm. You always have to be there watching them. Um, so we kind of switched to the cash crop, and you can do a lot of that at night. Like, hey, you got to make it when the sun shines. So
Yeah.
it didn't really work in our business. So now that I work at the Ag Mart through the day. I plant all night, spray all night, fertilize all night. So it's a balancing act, but we seem to get everything done.
Luke, when do you sleep?
Wintertime. So,
You're
but
like a hibernating bear. You have a big meal in the fall and you just kind of hibernate.
yeah, no, I love working on the farm and I love doing fertilizer recommendations and all that. So
Yeah.
it's not a job in my mind. It's a passion and it drives me. So
That's awesome. That's you got to be you can be passionate about the industry, but being passionate about, what you're doing on a daily basis, that's totally different. And if you can find that, boy, you're good at it, you've really hit a real sweet spot, so to speak.
yeah, yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate. So. Um, just keep
That's
reinvesting and keep investing in capital on the farm
yeah.
and just yeah, just keep
Do,
going.
do you see yourself trying to expand the farm at all, or is 1,000 acres about the right size?
I would like to cut back on the custom work. I have some really good growers here that just trust me to do everything. So that works out really well. They're not calling me saying, get that sprayed because I get it sprayed when it needs to. And it's been working out really well. But I still like it to be my own land. So I can invest in fertility. I can lime it in the fall and grow really nice crops. Um, yeah, I'd like to be in that 2,000 acre range, and that would justify a 16-row corn planter and just keep going.
When I was in Nova Scotia, and a friend of mine from Halifax took me out to Peggy's Cove. Of course, you get a feel for there's a lot of fishing, and that's a pretty important industry to the province of Nova Scotia. Um, what's kind of a strange question, but what's kind of what's a better industry to be in? Like what in terms of is it fishing or is it farming or is it kind of it's both for the province?
I think you got to be in a little bit of everything because the climate is getting unpredictable. Um, like during Fiona, all our corn went flat. So
Yep.
that's why you don't grow 100% corn. Um, the fishing market is up and down. So you got to hit the highs and the lows. So I think if you got your hand in a little bit of everything, like forestry, cropping, fishing, um, and a full-time job on the side, I think you're pretty good for success.
Yeah, that does make a lot of sense. Do you ever get out fishing at all?
I've actually haven't been much into the fishing. No,
Yeah.
I don't think I could sit still that long. I like to Keep moving.
Keep super super busy. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
that's I can identify with that, but some beautiful landscape and some beautiful area. When you look at your forecast out to where harvest is, do you think you're gonna harvest at about the average time that you normally would?
I think we're 4 to 5 days ahead. This time last year, I was spraying the wheat for fusarium, and it started flowering a week ago. So
Mm.
we are ahead a little bit here. And like I said, the corn looks awesome. It's already knee high. Uh, Usually we say knee high by 1st of July,
Yeah.
and we're way past. And with 33 degrees, it's growing 2 inches a day. So.
Will you, with the quality of that crop, will you be putting fungicide on the corn?
So we don't, I'm looking at doing a few trials here on that. There's not many sprayers out this way in Nova Scotia, and our fields are probably 8 acres max.
Hmm.
So it's kind of hard to get a boy in there and not tramp a bunch of corn. We don't have tar spot here yet, but it sounds like it's coming. And so it's something we need to look into. And so I'm going to do an ROI on the leaf spray and the tassel spray here this fall. And if it's really worth it, I might look at some drone technology or stuff like
Yeah.
that. But
Did you
no,
did you
really
did you
not much.
say did you say average field size of 8 acres?
Yeah, I would say that.
Okay,
I'm
so
just looking out the window. That's 9 acres. That's 8 acres.
so
So it,
what's the big advantage of that, and what's the big disadvantage of that?
disadvantage is constantly folding and unfolding equipment and moving stuff around. Uh, the good thing about it is if you have a disaster, it's not the whole farm. Like sometimes you'll have that field flood and it's only 8 acres, or you'll have frost damage in that spot. Um, if you lost 100 acres of a field, it'd be bad news, but we have so much variability in our fields, we're pretty lucky that way.
Probably a lot of different microclimates too, I'd imagine.
Oh, a lot, yeah. Like the flowering in the wheat is really hard. Like it's usually a difference in days. So you
Yeah.
always got to be scouting the fields and looking for different impacts.
Yeah. And quality of transport of a piece of machinery all of a sudden becomes very, very important in comparison to some other regions of Canada where like you said, you're constantly folding and unfolding and packing up and moving, and some of those windy roads and things like that through Nova Scotia, transportability becomes a big factor in what equipment you purchase.
Yeah, no, we like across the road here, we have a 9 acre cornfield and we have a 412 sprayer with a 120 foot boom, and it took 3.5 minutes to do. So
Yeah.
the times I got the boom unfolded and folded, like it was three passes. So, but I like I said, it's every field's different, so
Yeah.
it's kind of nice that way.
Yeah, cool. Unique challenges. Well, hey, thanks a lot for joining us here today on the Farmer Rapid Fire. Appreciate it.
Awesome. No, I appreciate it.
Yeah, awesome. Great to have you here. Okay, we'll be right back here on RealAg Radio for the Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada, right after this.
Choose Viatude fungicide and unleash best-in-class sclerotinia protection in canola and premium protection against white mold in soybeans. Viatude contains a powerful premix of Onmira Active and Prothioconazole. This unique combo delivers high-performance disease control, crop safety, mix compatibility, resistance management, and advanced mobility for excellent coverage and superior plant protection. Choose Viatude fungicide for stronger, more vigorous crops.
I get to spend every day talking to farmers in the ag industry through RealAgriculture.com and RealAg Radio. But nothing is more fun than speaking to an audience live and in person. If you're planning an ag event, book a Real Agriculture speaker to make it a successful and memorable experience. Email shaney@realagriculture.com and you can book myself or any other Real Ag personality to speak at your event. Bring your audience all the fun, insight, and energy of Real Agriculture.
Peter Johnson at WheatPeak, RealAgriculture.com, and what an opportunity! Oh my gosh! You think you can't grow better wheat? You are absolutely wrong. We're going to show you how to strive for those record wheat yields that they get in the UK and in New Zealand. You can grow 150 bushel wheat. I'll show you how.
Catch Wheat Beats Word every Wednesday on RealAgriculture.com or download the podcast on iTunes or Spotify. And welcome back to RealAg Radio, brought to you today by Pioneer Seeds Canada. And we're joined right now by Tyler Lester. He farms in Bloomfield, Ontario. Hey, Tyler, how's it going?
Good, Shaun. How about you?
Oh, pretty good, man. Are you enjoying this heat?
The heat's not my thing personally. I like sitting on the porch, eating a Froese and watching things grow when it's this hot.
Yeah, no kidding. It's been pretty stifling. Like, feels
Yes.
like, like 45 C or, Celsius or around there for a good part of the week. I guess the corn, for the most part, is got to be jumping out there.
Oh, yes. Yeah, we've had a couple of timely rains here in the last week or so, and this heat's really going to make things jump nicely.
How are crops looking?
Good. The wheat's coming fast, and the small grains look good, and the corn and soybeans here are in very good shape.
You put a fungicide on that wheat, given all the rain and some of the humidity that we're facing here?
Yes. Yeah.
Is that something you always do?
More so in the last 3 years than previously, but in the last 3 years, yeah, it's just become a regular part of our wheat program. Yeah.
Okay. So all things considered, would you would you look at where we are in 2024 and the stage that the crop is at? Is 2024 off to a really good start here for you, or has there been some setbacks at all?
No, I would say we're in pretty good shape here. Prices have been fair. You've had opportunity to book some crop at a profit level that I think is acceptable, and planting season was good. Things look good here. I would say that for the most part we're on the positive side.
So we're into now the back half of June. What are some of the things that's going to be happening on the farm between now and Canada Day?
Oh, it's a race to get harvest equipment ready. The small grains crop, I've had 3 phone calls already. The winter barley's getting ready real quick, and the wheat's coming quickly here. We're going to probably be 10 days earlier than last year. Harvesting wheat would be my guess right now.
Wow.
So yeah, we're in a bit of a race to get planting equipment washed and put away, and get the combines out and cleaned up and checked over and ready to go.
And what's been the factor in that wheat being 10 days ahead of where we were last year?
My personal guess would be that we had essentially 10 days of winter, and that was it. The wheat basically grew all winter long.
Yeah. Interesting. What's your, when you look at the winter barley and the wheat that's out in the field, which of course is a winter variety as well, what are some of those yield expectations? Like, what do you consider a good yield on winter barley or wheat?
The last 2 years, our winter barley here, we've averaged about 140 bushels an acre in the winter barley.
Wow.
And that's been pretty good.
And what market does that typically go to? Does that typically go to feed, or where does it end up?
Animal feed. We've got a couple of beef producers and a sheep producer in our area here that's our major market of those 3 guys.
Yeah.
Immediately for the
Well, there you go. Well,
barley. Yeah.
yeah. So I guess, because you don't have any livestock, do you?
I do not know, but I work quite closely with 2 dairy producers and a beef producer and a sheep producer.
Yeah. Do you find that that's been a successful strategy, is kind of collaborate or have that close relationship with those livestock producers? You're producing grains and oil seeds, and obviously they need feed. So is it typically that's where you go first when you're trying to market those crops?
Yes, absolutely. They're our first stop. A personal personal opinion is my mark of success is making sure that my neighbors are equally as successful as I try and be, and having a close working relationship with them. If I have something that they need, and we can reach a fair price or a fair agreement on getting that crop, then yeah, that's what success is, in my opinion.
Yeah, collaboration is an important thing for sure. So when you say get the equipment ready for harvest, what are some of the things that you have to do yet?
Well, we had one of the combines eat a rock last year, and I know I need 2 concaves for fall harvest. So the ones that got wrecked, they're going to have to come out, and I've got a little bit of time to get the large wire concaves replaced, because we'll thrash small grains with small wire concaves, but we'll have to start with a bit of an inspection on that issue and see if there was any other damage done, and just a basic once over, grease, check the bearings and the belts and the chains, and go from there.
Yeah. Does it kind of feel like this season's got, like, we're already talking about harvest? Does it kind of feel like things have sort of just, like, we've moved very quickly here?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Like, on the prairies, we've had a lot of moisture, but we have not had the heat that Eastern Canada or Eastern U.S. has had. It has still been quite cool. Like, the other Monday in Calgary in the afternoon when I drove to the airport, it was four above at 4 in the afternoon. Like
4 degrees in there, jumping.
So we're in a position here where tomorrow the days start to get shorter. It feels like we haven't had summer yet. Personally, I'm a little bit jealous of that heat. I know it's pretty stifling, and it's probably you'd probably argue with me on that, but I am kind of jealous. We haven't even had any summer yet, so you're lucky, kind of.
Hey, I will not complain in the least bit about any of the weather that we've had so far this year. Yeah. We've a couple of my neighbors have said somebody's got to be lucky, and this year it's going to be us for now. And I don't like to say that too loud or too often, but I'll take it when it's my turn.
Yeah, I hear you. No doubt about it. Okay, so any ability to get away at all from the farm here? Any summer? I don't know if to call it a vacation, but just an opportunity to get away at all. Have you done anything?
We spent last weekend, Father's Day, at the lake. There's a small lake 3 or 4 miles up the road from us here, and my parents have a small place there. So my brother was visiting from Ottawa with his family, and we spent Father's Day at the lake. Kids went swimming and riding bikes and throwing the football and all that fun stuff. So
great stuff. You gotta do that once in a while, even if it's for a couple days, just to sort of chill out, relax, and take a bit of a deep breath, especially before we get into harvest. Because once we start harvest, it all kind of connects together, and all of a sudden, it's November and we're trying to finish the corn, right? So it's a long haul.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, hey, Tyler, thanks so much for joining us here today on the Farmer Rapid Fire. Good luck getting those combines ready for harvest, and all the best to you, okay?
Thank you. You too, Shaun.
Great stuff. Well, hey, we'll be right back on RealAg Radio for the rest of the Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada.
If you're involved in the agriculture industry, it's important to stay informed on all the latest issues affecting your business. At RealAgriculture.com, we offer fast, reliable news, information, and insights to help you keep on top of all of the latest in Canadian agriculture. Visit RealAgriculture.com and sign up for our free daily newsletter covering everything from news, agronomy, animal agriculture, and much more. Visit RealAgriculture.com/subscribe today. Canola is more than just a pretty face in the prairie landscape. It's a big business, both here and around the world, that requires you to be informed and up to date on everything it takes to grow a successful crop. The Canola School on RealAgriculture.com has an expert library of video resources covering markets, agronomy, and more to help you grow a healthy and profitable canola crop. Visit canolaschool.com today. Brought to you by BASF Canada and Invigor Hybrid Canola. It's summertime, and you've got a lot of important decisions to make when it comes to your corn crop. Let the Corn School on RealAgriculture.com help guide you through those big decisions with input from leading experts in the field. If it's spray timing, disease identification, or any other field issue, the Corn School's got you covered. The Corn School on RealAgriculture.com, brought to you by BASF and Pride Seeds.
And welcome back to RealAg Radio, the Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada. And make sure when you're thinking about fungicides this season, you talk about Viatude with your local retailer, your control of white mold and sclerotinia, depending if you're growing soybeans or canola. Joining us right now from Winkler, Manitoba, it is Jack Froese. Hey, Jack, how's it going?
Good afternoon. Doing great.
Yeah, awesome. Hey, how are those crops looking outside?
Well, it's been kind of wet out lately. Last year we were begging for this rain we're getting. We got less than 3 inches of rainfall last year. Now we're at 15 inches this year. And so we've
15.
Got 15. We got
Wow.
water ponding. We got it's not good for the edible beans, which don't really like wet feet at all.
Yeah.
And some of the corn is sitting in ponding water. So we're hoping that we get some sunshine today. It'll help for sure.
Yeah, I would say across the prairies, we're like, okay, we got the moisture. I don't want to complain about it, but
Right.
we need to give ourselves a little bit of time here for this crop to grow out of these stages. We need some heat. Now, Ontario is getting pumped with heat this week. They could push it our way. That'd be great because I don't know about you, Jack, but it just has not felt a lot like summer yet.
I know that's the problem. We've been getting low nighttime temperatures, and I think that's been part of the problem as well. We're getting some upper teen weather, but overnight temperatures way down. And for corn and stuff like that, to get that stuff going, we'll need some heat.
Yeah, what
Overnight
crops?
temperatures.
Yeah, what crops do you all have on the farm?
We grow corn, soybeans, dry beans, wheat, and canola.
How's the canola looking with all this moisture?
You know, we put some stuff in late April. We're second guessing ourselves because late frost. But that stuff is actually blooming now. So, and we got our aerial guys flying over it, and they think it's just about ready to put the fungicide on. So,
wow,
400 acres early bloom, and then the other stuff got staged a little later. And the last stuff, we had 135 acres that blew out on us. So we had to reseed it just better than a week ago, and it's just coming through now. And it's been an awful windy spring so far. Just real battle with wind.
Yeah, trying to get that spraying done has been really challenging.
For sure it has, and we need to get in on the corn and soybeans for the second pass, and it's really wet out there. So hopefully we'll get some warm weather and it'll take its course.
Yeah, and you start to second guess yourself, right? Okay, what do I do here? Do I, hire the airplane to do some of this? Do I do with my own ground rig? Am I going to create more of a mess? Like, what am I doing? Also, the challenges of wind. Have you been getting moments in the day where you can get out there when the wind drops, like morning or late at night, or has that been kind of elusive too?
We were kind of fortunate because we put some of our crops in fairly early in late April, like the corn, some of the canola, the wheat. So that stuff got sprayed early, but we're trying to make a second pass now, and that's where the issue lies.
Okay. Do you hire the airplane for anything?
We do for most of our fungicides on the canola, and we're debating on the wheat is hitting flag leaf and starting to push the heads. So if we're going to put a fungicide on, now's the time, right?
Yeah.
But
Jack, is fungicide a given for you, or is it kind of really depend on the year?
For the most part, on canola, it's a given. We'll do it. We've done testing and stuff like that. Generally, 7 to 8 bushel increase on fungicide use. Not for a long time, so it's kind of a hit and miss on fungicides with wheat.
Okay, yeah. So we got about 2 weeks left here in June, which is really hard to believe because we were talking about we haven't really had much summertime feel yet. What are some of the key things that will be going on in the farm there at the Froese the Froese farm between now and July 1st?
Well, we got most of our harvesting equipment, but we're starting to put away the seeding equipment now that we reseeded stuff and we're done seeding. We're thinking. So the planters are getting overhauled or whatever needs to be done to it. The maintenance and air seeder has been put away, and then we're starting to haul some grain. We had sold some corn for July delivery, and they're taking it a little early now, and also hauling some canola. So and hopefully the guys will get a chance to get a week or two off in July.
Do you try to make sure that there is some time off for the team and yourself kind of before harvest starts?
For sure. I try and work wherever possible to at least either give them long weekends or to have a week that they can go and spend time with their families and do whatever, for sure.
Because harvest is a long push.
It is. And it's usually a hard push, and they hardly get to see the kids then, And we're cognizant of the fact that it's a family and it's part of the operation. We consider our staff as family, and so we want to handle them the way we do our own families, right?
Yeah. How many staff do you have there, Jack?
Four people on staff, my son and my nephew, and two employees that are there as well.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, that's it's good to see you see kind of the bigger picture there in terms of trying to manage all that. It can't just because there's always something to do, right? And it's kind of setting priorities and what do we need to do versus what do we have to do, what we want to do. It's all of that kind of stuff. We're also working in some spare time as well. So as you look at the crop here right now, where we're at, do you have, if I was to say average, above average, good to excellent, very poor, whatever the range is, how would you describe the crop right now out there in the field?
The cereals would be they're really good. They're looking good. There are a lot of stooling going on. The corn is late. It'll have to have a push, and the soybeans actually look really good. But there's been a fair bit of ponding, so hopefully they can weather the storm. Edible beans are a little late, I guess. Well, we only put them in around the 25th of May, so they're up and coming. But it's been slow there as well, and they don't handle water too well either, so they don't like wet feet at all.
Yeah.
So they're struggling, but the other crops actually look fairly decent.
We're going to need an open fall.
Hey, I just did some traveling up into the Yorkton area of Saskatchewan. Boy, are there a lot of late crops, and this looks like the air seeders have just been parked here in the last week. A lot of late crops all over, and with the cool nights here, it'll be the same here. We're going to need an open fall.
Yeah. Like, I'm in Alberta, so we're used to where nighttime we're touching 10 or 11 or 12. We're even coming down from a 30 right during the day. But man, Jack, we got lows of 2 and -1, and people writing in the frost in their windshield. That is not great for the midway point of June at all.
I know, and for the corn and soybeans, you need those 24-hour cycles, where you get the warm temperatures at night and it still continues the growing process. We have not been having that. That's, I think, why we're seeing some of the slower growth. You
said you're putting away the air seeder and some of the seeding equipment. Are you put it away like you found it sort of guy? Like it's totally cleaned out and you just pull it out of the shed? Or are you okay, just park it in the shed and we'll deal with it in the winter?
No. We after we're done seeding, we know what it needs, so we will do a complete maintenance on it. It's greased, put in the shed, ready to go next spring, and you pull it next spring and still look over it, but it's basically ready to go.
Kind of takes some of the stress away, doesn't it?
Oh, it sure does, and then same with the planters, so that when you hook on, there's no issues with it that you think you might be needing parts for this or all that kind of stuff. And so no, we put it away fully looked after.
Yeah. So you mentioned getting a few days off before harvest starts. What's that look like for you? What do you do?
Generally, Detroit Lakes, Minnesota is where we spend our weekends or holidays. We've got a camper set up there and got a boat, and so it's nice to get away. And it's a shallow lake, spring fed, so it doesn't green up on you, but it's uh, a nice warm lake.
Do some fishing, or are you guys more of like water sports?
Water sports. I'm not your fisherman. No,
Nope.
I don't mind going out there every once in a while, but it's not my thing.
Okay, so what's your favorite water sport?
Well, we do jet skiing and a little bit of water skiing occasionally, but kind of let the kids do that now. So
I'm with you. I get too sore the next day too. I got to be careful. I try to get out and do one wakeboard a summer just to say that I can still do it. I don't want to leave years of gaps where it's like I haven't done this for 5 years. I don't know if I should. So I every year I go at least once.
Well, do it once, like you say, you've done it, and move on.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I like surfing a little bit better. It's a little bit easier on the body when you fall and stuff like that. So
the beauty is Detroit Lakes has all kinds of restaurants and those kind of things. So you spend your night out, the evening out at a different place every night and meet a lot of people. It's really good.
Yeah, awesome stuff. Well, hey, Jack, good luck here as we transition into the real busy and key summer months here to finish off this growing season. Thanks for joining us here on the Farmer Rapid Fire.
You betcha. Thanks, Shaun. All the best.
Great stuff. That is Jack Froese out of Winkler, Manitoba. We'll be right back on RealAg Radio here on Rural Radio 147, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada.
If you only listen to RealAg Radio, you only get half the picture. For greater insight into the issues that affect farming, tune in to RealAgriculture.com. Crops, livestock, machinery, farm management, and the markets, even food and travel. Real Agriculture Online digs deeper into the topics that affect the way you work and live. So get connected today. Read, watch, and listen to the people who know at RealAgriculture.com.
Infuse some energy into your next corporate event, customer meeting, or conference with RealAg Radio, Canada's national agriculture radio show. Create a unique experience at your next event with host Shaun Haney, broadcasting RealAg Radio live on SiriusXM, featuring exciting guests, captivating interviews, and the latest news from the agriculture community. Contact advertising at realagriculture.com or call 587-787-1795 to book your on location with RealAg Radio today.
And we continue the Farmer Rapid Fire. This time we're going to stop in Kinistino, Saskatchewan. And the Farmer Rapid Fire is brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada. And we're joined by Bruce Holmquist. Hey, Bruce, how's it going?
Great, Shaun.
You got to be pretty happy out there looking at some of those grass conditions.
Yeah, you know what? It's a lot better this year. We've got the same amount of rain as we had all last year. And, last year we had, 6 or 7 inches, and probably 4 of them came after August. So we're sitting pretty now.
Okay, so I get how, these conditions benefit the commercial herd, and there's the questions about cow, the supply side and heifer retention and all that kind of normal conversation. What does this do for the seed stock side of the industry that you are very involved in?
Well, I mean, it's a trickle up effect, if you want to call it that, from the grassroots. Certainly we need optimism. We've been banged around a long time in the beef sector of agriculture and whatnot. And, the old adage that I hear quite often from some of the grain guys is, well, it's too wet, it's too cold. It's kind of like the Goldilocks thing, right? Mm-hmm. And at the end of it all, it takes moisture to make hay, and it better come early. Optimism feeds investment and sustainability and longevity in young producers, of course. There's nothing worse than fighting drought, and that's there now. The only thing is that sometimes we tip over a little bit, and I hate to say it, and get a little bit too optimistic, and prices shoot up, and everybody wants to have a cow, and that's okay. We need to grow the cow herd. but we need it in the hands of people that know how to manage those cows and are going to be in it for the long haul.
Yeah. I was in Regina earlier this week for Canada's Farm Show and ran into an avid listener of the show from Churchbridge. And he asked me a question that I had speculation on the answer, but I'll ask you because you're in this game. He asked about, with the kind of moisture that we have had, and things are going to heat up here in Western Canada eventually, and that grass is really going to launch. How come more people don't fertilize their pastures?
Well, it's the risk attached to it. I mean, fertilizer is expensive, and if it doesn't rain, it doesn't do a lot. You know, we've seen coatings and stuff that prevent gassing off and whatever else, but you don't get the bang for your buck unless it rains, especially on grass. And it just doesn't store. It's not retained in the soil. It's broadcast for the most part. I mean, there's other ways of doing it too, but old school says that if everything's perfect, Mother Nature cooperates. Yeah, it's a good return on your investment, but sometimes you get burnt by it too.
Yeah. Okay. My answer was what I speculated was the answer was right, and the effects of depending where you are, 4, 5, 6 years of really dry years. You're not even thinking fertilizer. You're just thinking like, I hope there's something there for the cows to eat, and I don't got to start cutting and culling. So this is a little bit of but it is a good question to ask in times like this because we've kind of got we've had some different weather than we have had the past number of years over a broad amount of acres.
Yeah, that's entirely true. And I don't know the difference between El Nino and La Nina and
I get confused
all
too,
that,
Bruce.
all that kind of stuff. But I do know that in the northeast of Saskatchewan, where we're located, we're usually a pretty surefire snowfall area. And in fact, the last 2 years, 22 and 23, snow is what drove our hay crop, such as it was. It wasn't great at all.
Yep.
Half at best on some newer hay acres. But last year we had no snow, basically. Very, very little. And like I said, the rainfall now this year and everything else is optimism. But you know what? In agriculture, a lot of people have short memories, but that still lingers, that memory of a poor hay crop, and let the good times roll, and we'll see if we step out and fertilize like we ought to. We should be doing it,
right?
Especially on older stands.
Boy, the prices have been, overall just nice to see, and you look at what some of the feeders, coming off grass this summer are some of the prices and what some thoughts are on what feeder cattle could be worth in the fall. And the rain, Mother Nature cooperating. I even hear from some of the cash croppers like, it's about time for the people in the ranching community.
It is, and I mean, we all know that nothing's going down in price, whether it be our power, hydro, gas, fuel, inputs, equipment, and all that kind of stuff. But the other thing is that we have to be cognizant of the price of beef, right?
Yeah.
You go to the meat case and you compare it to the other proteins sources, the other species that are there, pork and poultry. We're an expensive commodity, and consumer demand has never been better at this price. And every time you go by a McDonald's or pick your chain, Burger King, I don't care what it is, and you see 2 lanes of traffic that have vehicles in them at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, thank the consumer, because they're more likely eating beef in a lot of them, and God bless them for helping us out with that.
Yeah, amen to that. Okay, so what's happening on the ranch these days? We were midway point of June. What's happening the next couple of weeks between now and Canada Day?
Well, it's that same old thing. Grass is coming good, and when do you cut it? Everybody's looking at the weather forecasts and things like that, and can you maybe squeak out, where we are, 2 cuts. That'd be nice. We're not in Ontario. We don't do 3 cuts a year.
Yeah.
Or other parts of in the West, it's mainly a 2 cut at best process. And do you try squeak that out? Do you take some off and make haylage out of it? Or, silage is a different deal altogether. You're going to go one go. I actually flew back into Saskatoon late yesterday and drove up through Rosthern in that area and saw some the dairies at Waldheim and wherever else there have taken some silage off. The scraps that they didn't quite get cut didn't look very high, but they're hoping to get as many cuts as possible. So that's there. Right now it's cold.
Yeah,
we need some heat. It's getting down to 2 to 3 degrees here at night, and that's the last thing we need is to see a -2 or something like that, and knock the alfalfa back.
Yeah, cold crops, cold camping. It's been chilly, and Ontario's been pumped with very hot weather. It's heat wave, and we're still waiting for summer to start as the days start getting shorter this week. It's kind of crazy.
Well, I was down in Nashville at one of your favorite spots, and it was darn hot there. Got back to Toronto and just about melted coming off the plane, and you get back here and you're throwing the jacket on real quick.
Yeah. I'm flying in out of Regina to Toronto this week. It's amazing when I was in Regina how many people are wearing like sweaters as if it's December and winter coats, and it's just nutty weather. It's every year's different, and hopefully Mother Nature turns some heat on here for this grass, alfalfa, and the crop. So hey, Bruce, thanks so much for joining us here today on the Farmer Rapid Fire.
My pleasure, Shaun. Thank you.
Awesome stuff. Okay, we'll be right back on RealAg Radio, the Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada.
How's your seed quality? What should you treat with? What about herbicide carryover and environmental concerns? Spring is here, and you've got a lot of things to think about in regards to your pulse crop. The Pulse School on Real Agriculture has information and advice for all these questions and more to help you navigate this season. Brought to you by BASF. Pulse School episodes are available at pulseschool.com, realagriculture.com, or as a podcast on your favorite streaming service. Download the latest episode today.
I'm Lindsay Smith from RealAgriculture.com. Join me Monday nights for The Agronomist, a 1-hour live and interactive show broadcast across YouTube, Facebook, and X. Monday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern, I host expert agronomists from all over the country to give you answers to some of the toughest agronomic questions. Join us live or catch the replay Tuesday morning. That's The Agronomist with me, Lindsay Smith, Monday nights live at 8 p.m. Eastern.
And welcome back to RealAg Radio. The Farmer Rapid Fire today, of course, is brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada, and we are joined right now by Pioneer agronomist Paul Hermans out of Eastern Ontario. Hey, Paul, how's it going?
It's going great, Shaun. Great to be here and talking agronomy.
Yeah, and how is the heat treating you, my friend?
It's warm out here. We've had that heat dome. Currently sitting at 43 degrees with the humidity, 34 without. So it's a challenge out there, but we'll take the heat, maybe tone it down just a little bit.
Yeah, take a little bit of the edge off, just a little bit. But the corn has got to be loving this, doesn't it?
Corn loves it. Yeah, it likes that 30, 31 degrees kind of max, but it's not looking back. We got lots of moisture right now. In my area, I'd say 80% of the corn crop looks amazing. We're almost touching leaves together, holding hands in the field, starting to shade in. So that's a good thing and moving along. Beans, they're in that ugly yellow phase right now. They're almost, going to set nodules soon, almost V2, V3, but they're going to move along here fast as well.
Okay, so we really, here's what's interesting is that, if you go back 3 weeks, there was a lot of we are average at best. And it seems like the mood around the quality of the corn crop in Ontario, East and Southwest, it seems like it's improved. Am I jumping to conclusions there?
It depends a lot, Shaun, on where you're at. I was talking with John Saliga. He's agronomist, Southern Ontario, the Far West. They were just planting corn on the weekend.
Yeah.
And guys finally getting going there, right? So that's one side of the province from a different world. here we've been done corn for a couple of weeks, but it's really picked up. And again, 80% of that crop in my area, Eastern Ontario, looks amazing. It's those low-lying areas, the ones that got flooded out, they're the so-so crop, but overall, things are looking promising.
Yeah, and this is the time of the year where obviously there's a lot of spraying happening, and we're in that in-season management, and you can't emphasize enough, scout, 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 scout. Be in your fields, be looking what's going on. And I know it sounds like, yeah, of course, dummy, of course, Shaun, like you're not telling me that I don't know, but it's a good reminder. Stay on top of it.
Exactly. And one of the big things I think this year, Shaun, is we've had almost 3 or 4 different planting seasons this spring based on the weather, right? So a lot of differences in stages of crop maturity out there. You know, we're having to spray. Some guys are doing hay, nitrogen side dressing going on, a lot of activities. And sometimes we forget about that field in the back corner or way off to the side kind of thing. But making sure we're scouting it and keeping on top, because, you know, yield pays the bills, and scouting and taking corrective actions is really going to help this crop moving ahead.
Yeah, you know, I was talking to a friend of mine, an agronomist, who the cutworms have been a real issue in Western Canada in certain parts. And he talked about in a 10-day period, cutworms took about 600 acres of canola, right? And so that's fast. We've been dealing in Ontario with like slugs, for example. There's always something trying to attack our crop and remove us off of that optimum yield curve, right? And we got to stay on top of some of those, you know, in this example, pests, diseases, I don't care what it is, we got to stay on top of it.
Exactly. Like we're, you know, a couple of weeks away, we're starting to get almost to the longest day of the year. We start going downhill with sunshine, right? So soybeans are going to think about flowering. And our area, we start thinking about white mold season. Hate to call it a season, but if you look at, we've got a lot of moisture in the ground right now. We could be setting up for another white mold year. We've got some more beans on beans from last year, so potentially more white molds. We got to think about fungicide and where we're going to apply that. The fields that have had that historical high levels too. So keeping on top of things.
Yeah, at the beginning of the show, I was talking about Viatude. Just as just a bit of a product drop there for everybody, if you're dealing with white mold for sure. And I guess for some of those beans that went in later. How does the switch here as the days start to get shorter, how does it impact those younger beans?
So yeah, you look at a couple different things. Once you get beyond the middle of May, first of all, for every 3 days later planted, we're going to be a day later harvest. And I was looking at reproductive stages. Basically, as you get later in the season, your reproductive stage shortens up. So we don't have as many days for flowering. So obviously that's going to affect from a yield standpoint. But we've been, you know, coaching our growers to plant more seeds per acre later on, have more nodes per acre. That'll help. But ultimately, the later we're going to reduce yield a bit in the soybean world for sure.
Quickly before we wrap up here, Paul, what do you suggest growers be thinking about between now and say Canada Day, July 1st? What are some key points?
The big, I guess, 2 or 3 bigs. One is keeping on top of weed control. We got some large weeds out there and just differences in stages based on the crop and everything. So keep after that. It's nitrogen side dressing time. You know, do a PSNT test if you haven't done that, a side dress nitrogen test basically. And then fungicides, you know, for soybeans are going to be coming up shortly. And then, you know, a couple of weeks down the road, thinking about corn as well. So lots to think about, lots going on, and keep that crop looking the best that it can.
Yeah, great stuff. Always fabulous insights from you, Paul. Hey, really appreciate it. Thanks for joining us here on the Farmer Rapid Fire.
Appreciate it, Shaun. Thanks a lot.
If you have any feedback, everybody, send me an email, shaney@realagriculture.com. Of course, the Farmer Rapid Fire is brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada. We just did mention Viatude as well from Corteva Agri-Sciences. Thanks, everybody, for getting real and getting connected with RealAg Radio, and we'll talk again tomorrow. Cheers, everybody.